Everybody, it is Thursday, April 11th, 2019. That's right. You heard it right. It's Thursday. And this is Sean and Kevin. This is coming to you live from a Thursday night with fresh king cake and sunny side up. That's right. Special Thursday edition of Raging Chicken's Out to Coop podcast. This is Kevin Mahoney, editor and founder of Raging Chicken. Each week I talk to our Capitol muckraker-in-chief, Sean Kitchen, about the good, the bad, and the ugly in state and national politics. Normally, we do this on Friday, but it's on Thursday now because my son, who's standing right next to me right now playing with our dog, and I are going to do a little science in Philly tomorrow. It'll be very cool, down at the Franklin Institute. Today's show, we're going to have an abbreviated show tonight. We're going to kind of wing this one. We've got a few things. A lot of news that happened this week, but you know what? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen any less next week, so it's going to be a little bit. It's going to be perfectly fine. So tonight we have a little abbreviated show, a little focus. We're going to look at The Guardian publishing a bombshell of an investigative story this week that reported that Governor Tom Wolf's office and the DEP officials halted environmental studies during a permitting process for Energy Transfer Partners' Mariner East 2 pipeline. Why? In order to fast-track the pipeline's construction. Cue the Democratic Party and PA hatred stream now. Pennsylvania Attorney General Josh Shapiro and Senate Democrats renew their push for abuse survivors in the wake of Catholic Church's grand jury report legislation. That's what Sean wrote. Report, period. Legislation.
Sorry, I forgot to fill that in.
You can tell it's a Thursday late night, not used to doing it now. And it's spring in PA. And that means it is budget cutting time at the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education. That's right, the sky is falling, Chicken Little's running like with their head cut off. Oh my God, it's the wake of the natural forces engulfing. What are we going to do? Kutztown University President Kenneth Hawkinson sends email to faculty and staff waving the flags of austerity as we head into the final weeks of classes. Makes for a great end of the semester, let me tell you. And we also hear there's a new student fee on the horizon. How about that? Oh, joy. Apparently the administration is attempting to make the case. Not going to be made. Well, we'll see. What will be the response from faculty, staff, and students? We shall see. And I'll tell you, one of the hard things about this being an abbreviated show on a Thursday night is it was an awesome space news week this week. It was unbelievable. For the first time today, right before we started recording tonight, SpaceX successfully launched all 3 boosters from its Falcon Heavy rocket. That was a first ever. We got the first image of a black hole thanks to a global coordinated radio telescope effort. And the algorithm for being able to see that was developed by a graduate student at MIT. How awesome is that? Sean, of course, had to go about retweeting the black hole with Grady's face in it, taken away from the sheer joy of the science. There we go. Oh, and by the way, I didn't mention this before. I didn't tell Sean about this, but hey, Sean, did you hear that WHYY has a new mascot?
No, I did not.
Do you know what that mascot is called?
WHYY, like
witty. It's a blue, googly-eyed little creature, except it's as white and as NPR as you'd imagine. So, just saying.
Man, this is... I actually forgot, like, WHYY is, like, the Philadelphia NPR affiliate, right?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm used to WITF, so...
Yeah, I know. Before then, you were just kind of, like, short on... But also this week, it was also the 35th annual Space Symposium this week, brought to you by Lockheed Martin. And investment in space companies, as I'm going to always go about hitting this in my galactic capitalism attempt, like to show what's going on here, They hit an all-time high of $3 billion of investment, and there's no end in sight. But maybe we'll get to all the specifics of that next week, the week after, or maybe never. We'll see. Remind everybody, tune in to the Rick Smith Show on Free Speech TV this and every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can also listen tomorrow night, Friday night, around 10 o'clock, and yours truly will be on, talking about a whole bunch of stuff in higher education. But you can get the Rick Smith Show podcast wherever you get your podcast. It's a daily podcast. Get it on iTunes, Podbean, and wherever. Definitely listen to his show. As I always say, everything I learned about PA politics, I learned from Rick. And I want you to check out our newest writer, Dorcas Olatunji's latest article, The Clock is Ticking, Global Climate Strike. That is up and available at RagingChickenPress.org. Please check it out, share it, welcome her into the fold of Raging Chicken writers. And I have to say, pretty soon we're going to be bringing aboard a couple new writers. At least 2, I think. Maybe 3. We'll see. I'm not going to spill the beans and all the details until everything's go, but it looks like we're going to have at least 1 student intern this summer and 1 new writer from the, wait for it, Lehigh Valley. It's my unicorn, man. It's my unicorn. We're going to bring them on this summer, and as 2020 gets closer, we're looking to staff up to cover the movements. And that's why if you want to help that, if you want to kind of make sure that that we can do this, we can cover it. We can cover it from the ground up, not just the horse race, but the kind of human race that's happening in every community as we struggle to take back our democracy and our future. If you want a progressive future, we need progressive media. And you can help support Pull No Punches, homegrown progressive media today. Become a member of Raging Chicken Press for as little as $5 a month. Simply go to patreon.com/rcpress and choose your membership level. Not ready to become a member? No problem. Just go to RagingChickenPress.org and click on the big blue donate button in the right sidebar. So let me give you a perfect example. As this 2020 kicks up, I got an email from a member who's been a member for a couple years, and this person basically said, "Listen, I'm gonna cancel my membership because politics is kicking up for 2020, and I want to put my money of elsewhere for right now. I'll come back eventually, but this is like I got to put it elsewhere there." And look, I get it. Right, and especially with people who have limited resources to put this, but I'm going to tell you is that we got to be able to do both of these things. We got to walk and chew gum down the road. We got to be able to invest in the media, the movement media that is going to be covering the activists, covering the people that are making change happen on the ground as this goes forward. Otherwise, we are just going to be slaves to cable news. Because we got to invest in progressive media, and that is why we're going to be making a strong push from now all throughout the summer, right through the debates, right through the primary season, right up to 2020 for strong membership programs so we can bring on more writers and we can tear it up. But the best way you can do right now is make sure that you keep the media in the movement in the media. Become a member. So those $5 a month, go to patreon.com/rcpress. Sean, you've got a huge smile on your face.
No, there's a not safe for work video on my Facebook feed that is pretty funny, but I don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I told you that anytime you do that, there's viruses that are associated with those things, and it screws up your computer.
This is a video that was posted by Now This Future. If you need a reference to go look at, probably not safe for work, but it's a very interesting machine that was created in the health field industry.
Oh, great. There's a nice tease right there. Well, hey, so instead of beating around the bush right here, let's just go right to it. Come on, let's blow it up now, Sean. The Guardian, man, this week. Holy moly. I mean, to see, major story published by The Guardian, pretty substantial piece investigating what happened with the Energy Transfer Partners Mariner East pipeline here. Mariner East 2 pipeline, I should say.
Yes. Man, was not expecting that.
No. I mean, did you hear any about this coming down the pike?
No, this is totally out of nowhere. This was totally out of left field.
Yeah, you're talking about some major reporting for this. I mean, come on, this was blew my mind. Not even know this was on anybody's radar.
So I knew of some of the background in this story. One of the main protagonists, I guess, of the story is a government official. She works for the administration. This woman's been working in Democratic politics, I think going back to Ed Rendell. Her name is Yesenia Bates. Her husband is the main lobbyist for Energy Transfer Partners, ETP. He is currently the head lobbyist for EQT, and according to the campaign, or not campaign, the PA lobbying disclosure database. And it seems like Yesenia Bain was able to get the Mariner East 2 fast tracked. There was part of the story about deficiency letters. DEP staff immediately circulated 2 deficiency letters on January 20th, 2017, that they were preparing to send to ETP subsidiary Sunoco Logistics, citing inadequacies in the company's plans concerning air disturbance activities and drilling beneath water bodies. 5 days later, senior official in Wolf's office, Yesenia Bain, texted McDonnell to request the agency to refrain from sending a deficiency letter pending a meeting with Governor Wolf, the Wolf chief staff, and McDonnell, who was DEP secretary. And then, so it looks like this was fast-tracked from the documents that were shown and text messages, and also brings into question how close how close they were with one of the top executives from Energy Transfer Partners.
Yeah.
Will Bunch this week wrote about this, obviously. This was coming pretty quickly from him. They were in direct contact with some of the people who would profited the most off of this.
Yeah, and you look at, and I think that...
and some of the quotes in this story were pretty damning.
Well, yeah, and then you put it next to...
coming from Wolf about being a CEO, let's get this done.
Well, there you go. Exactly. That was one of the points I was going to make. And then if you look a little bit down in the article, too, as well, when you put that next to, like, some of the background they put in here, like, for example, later on in this article, it says, Wolf, who is a Democrat, has received substantial donations from companies with a financial stake in the Mariner East 2, including $20,000 toward his 2018 re-election campaign from the gas producer EQT Corporation, which has had a shipping contract with the pipeline. And then during his 2014 campaign, he received $1.5 million in campaign contributions from organizations, individuals, and PACs tied to the oil and gas industry, right? And then Yesenia Bain, this is the point that you made there, is married to a former oil and gas lobbyist. So, right there you get... Well,
he is still a oil and gas lobbyist. He's working for a different oil and gas company right now.
Fair enough. Yep.
And she is also the subject of a couple of ongoing... she was the subject of a couple of ongoing ethics violations, ethics complaints with her and her husband's relationship, especially to the industry and this pipeline. This was reported on back in 2017, I believe, by State Impact NPR, the same group that obtained these documents and handed them over to the Guardian is the same group that found the documents that was able to file the ethics complaint with. So, this is some muckraking going on by this local organization. And there's also a investigation by the Attorney General's office into Energy Transfer Partners and and this pipeline.
Yep. Well, and it's remarkable, and this is going on at the same time. We've made some mention of this on the podcast before that, down earlier, last month, I guess, it was Josh Shapiro kind of anointed joint criminal investigation of the pipeline and the company, right? And I know that there's been, this is tied up in electoral politics. We've been, you've been bringing forward things like this too, but that's happening down there in Chester County. You've got a bipartisan group of 14 state legislators, according to the article, that have also signed a letter to Wolf requesting a moratorium for on both the existing Mariner East pipelines and both the Mariner East pipelines until ETP provides an emergency response plan.
And this is a big election issue in these counties.
Right.
You have Republicans running scared from this pipeline that's going through the communities. You had Becky Corbin, who if you know Pennsylvania politics, she her district deals with Westchester. When I was an intern with APSCUF, we visited her office once. She used to work for Jim Gerlach. You talk about Jim Gerlach and that part of the Philadelphia suburbs. That's always been a solidly Republican stronghold,
right,
regardless of Her district, her former district, had the pipeline going through it, and she got trounced in the election by like almost 15, 20 points.
Yep.
Or 10 or 15 points. I mean, this is a big deal this is a campaign issue down in the southeastern part of the state. This is a hotbed issue.
Well, especially, you've got a pipeline which has had explosions, right? Which burned a house and barn and other structures down, last month. You've got as violations of they had sinkholes because there were leaks, unreported leaks, open up sinkholes, swallowing up homes and things like this before. It's been drilling under watershed areas and lakes and things like this when it doesn't have permits to do so, and it continues to violate
this
all
pipeline.
These mm-hmm.
Like one of the lead advocates who got elected was Representative Free Naughton out of who beat Becky Corbin. This pipeline is literally like 100 less than 100 feet from her back door.
Yep.
Like she can look out her back door, she posted a video of a rainstorm happening from her neighbor's back door, and like 20 feet into their backyard is the pipeline.
There you go.
Like imagine like looking, I don't know, like halfway into your street and you have a pipeline going through, like a major pipeline, where if that thing explodes, your house is just vaporized.
Yep.
I mean, it shows you that it's another stain on the governor's environmental record.
Absolutely, right? Especially you talk about the pipeline that runs next to schools, subdivisions, it runs the nursing homes, right? And the recent study that was cited by authorities in Delaware County said that if there's an explosion in this pipeline in this area, the probable fatality zone is going to be about a mile wide.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, this is everything here, but I think that's an element.
And it's like we're not even keeping any of the stuff in this pipeline. This pipeline is going straight to Philadelphia, and it's going straight overseas.
Yep,
so
exactly.
And it's not even. This is all going to be plastics. This is going to be stuff that's not going to be used. This is going to be single-use plastics. This is not going to be used for heating or energy independence at all. This is byproduct.
Right.
That's being shipped out. This is being made into hazardous plastic, other oil, and fossil fuel-related materials.
Right, and stuff that has been extracted with no tax, right?
Yeah.
There's no tax.
There goes your tax dollars leaving the state.
Right, exactly. So all it is
Get on a ship, going over to Europe.
There you go. There you go. This is 100% giveaways to these corporations. And I think you said it exactly right. This is just like another kind of like shining light on the kind of stain on Governor Wolf's environmental record in ways that it's actually now increasingly becoming dangerous to more and more communities.
Yeah, and I mean it's getting to the point where progressives and even regular Democrats in southeastern Pennsylvania are getting tired of carrying the weight of the governor's inadequacies on this.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean there are a lot of people in the legislature who are upset, like with stuff that's been going on, and it's the refusal to get 100% on board with the France climate accords.
Yep.
They're similar. It's not the same. There's carve-outs for gas. I mean, last year a coal company got $1 million RCAP grant. I mean, it's not a good time for the environmental. The Democratic Party is just putting everything in front of the environment.
Yeah, and you're again, how many times we got to say this? Right, we got TikTok, right? We've got less than 12 years. Right,
I mean,
to dramatically curb emissions.
Look at the Coke plant in Western PA.
Yep.
The Coke factory plant. You had officials saying that we will not shut this plant down, standing with union members saying that, when this is not this is becoming a union jobs versus the community issue, when it's people are getting asthma and going to the hospitals and getting sick and dying from this stuff.
Yeah, and if you just think,
and this is a $1 billion organization.
Yep.
A $14 billion company getting away with this stuff. I mean, we're allowing this stuff to happen across the state with our people within our own party.
We're not just. It's worse than that, though. It's not that we're just allowing it to happen. We're paying them to do it. Right? Our tax dollars are getting used to pay these companies to hurt us. That's so messed up. At a very time that you're talking about, should be in crisis mode, right? For dramatically curtail. And if we had the political power, right? And if we exercise that muscle to the point where we get that political power, we can demand that, get these people out of here, and demand major investments, statewide investments in renewables, statewide investments in kind of jobs, and to have those renewable plants located in areas that were worstly impacted by the fossil fuel industries, by the extractivist tendencies of this state. I mean, we could do that. And
buy out the coal mines and stuff like that. I mean, it's just,
exactly.
I mean, it's like buy out their contracts. It's.
Exactly, man. So that was just a huge story. So if you haven't checked that out, please do. And read it carefully, right? Don't get your back
and also
up.
read Bill Bunch's piece on it, too.
Yeah, definitely. We'll put a link into the notes for that, too, as well. So very cool. In other news in Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro and Senate Democrats stepping up once again this week.
Yes. The Pennsylvania House Republicans allowed the 2-year window to come out of the House this week. Pretty big deal. It was passed out of the Judiciary Committee on Monday. There are some changes to it. I do not know what the changes are in full. I think this goes to amend the Constitution. Not 100% sure, but I think that's like the general basis of this.
Explain to people what that is.
What, the Constitution?
The 2-year window.
Okay, so the 2-year window will allow people, who were victims of child sexual abuse, to have a 2-year window to sue people, sue their perpetrators in court, and give them their day in court. And it's about giving closure to these families. It's basically, if you look what the Senate Republicans are doing, especially Senator Scarnati, they are carrying water for the Catholic Church and not allowing this to happen. So this week, it passed out of the House on Wednesday before it happened. Josh Shapiro and Senate Democrats, Tim Carney. This is like a whole nother topic we might get off on. But the Democrats are allowing Senator Tim Carney from Delco, Maria Collette from Montco, where Greenleaf seats at, Katie Muth and Lindsey Williams get out in front of things. And same thing on San Ysidro. They're all at all these press conferences. It seems like these Democrats are coming in and being able to wield this power within the caucus, which is really good. This press conference was led by Tim Carney, and they had Josh Shapiro speaking there, and Josh Shapiro thanked the House Republicans for allowing this bill to come out of the chamber, and said now we have to put pressure on the Republicans in the Senate.
There you go. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
I mean, it's also another antithesis of Pennsylvania politics, given the fact that other states have been taking action on the grand jury report that our Attorney General produced.
Right, exactly.
And Pennsylvania has not done a damn thing in the wake of this.
Exactly.
And it's coming down to pretty much a small group of people. Senator Scarnati's chief of staff, Drew Crompton, and people associated close to Long and Nyquist. These are the 4 people that are like holding this up.
There you go. Write it down.
And the insurance lobbies.
Yep. Pretty nasty.
I mean,
this is you got to say this is a major step forward, that it is at the point where enough pressure being brought, especially on Republicans in the state Senate, could actually get this thing through.
Yeah.
Right. And that it just, it's call your legislators. I don't care if they're Republicans or Democrats, make sure they are on board with this. Right.
Yeah. It is a big deal. That's for sure.
Crazy. Well, cool. So keep an eye on that. On my end of things over here in good old Kutztown, Pennsylvania. Well, I'm not in Kutztown now, but that's where I work at the university. We got a wonderful email from our university president this week. Just wanted to make sure that everyone is kind of gearing up for that final push of the semester, making sure students are taken care of, making sure that we kind of got all the focus is on academics and student support and our classroom teaching. So he decides to, issue the crisis letter saying that it's going to be massive budget cuts and people should fear for their jobs. So that's where it goes, right? It's spring in Kutztown once again, everybody. And this.
Oh, by the way.
Yes.
Well, no, I was just saying, like, by the way.
Oh, yeah, and by the way, you guys...
While you're getting ready for summer here, by the way.
Right, exactly. Let me give you something to think about, right? So I published a piece on Raging Chicken today, and basically this runs through some of our university president at Kutztown, Kenneth Hawkinson, just in case you need his name. He basically sent out this email to faculty and staff, and the rub of it is this. The first part is like, hey, we've had a great year here at Kutztown, right? And like paragraph number 2, the sky is falling, run for cover, right? But let me just read a couple examples from this email that he sent to give you a sense of what our university president is deeming as successes, okay? This is what he's putting out there about good things that have happened. We've had many challenges, but here's the good things, right? We have implemented budget reductions of nearly $14 million since my arrival and more than $17 million over the last 5 years. How about that? We're reducing our budget. We're slashing things. That's one of the main things. And what's another great thing? Well, right? Yes, despite all this, we've also got a new student fee, which is bringing in more things, and we got more tuition raised, and we got more money from the state. But too bad that we've got these greedy faculty members who will continue to force education costs to rise. For example, mid-year raises and benefits increases are nearly $1.5 million, and there may be additional costs resulting from new collective bargaining contracts currently under negotiation. Right? He sets out this letter basically saying, hey, look, we had a good year, but, guess what? We're still in a major kind of budget shortfalls. Right, so what are we going to do? We got a tuition increase of 2.99%. We've got an increase of 3.6% increase from the state appropriation. We have the new campus support fee, in other words, fee on students, right? And we have more income coming in from other areas. Yet despite all that, we need to reduce the budget by $2.5 million. Right? Now, you got to understand something. I've been covering this kind of garbage and this nonsense since I started Raging Chicken back in 2011. The first piece I ever wrote for Raging Chicken Press was about the carnivalesque quality of this kind of like circus around the budget. Right? We've talked about shock doctrine politics and shock doctrine on this podcast. We've talked about it in the pages of Raging Chicken Press. I've written about the budget situation in the state system of higher education and the reporting frauds that have been taking place, where the universities have two sets of books: the books that they show to the public, that shows that the sky is falling, and the public includes faculty and students as a way of justifying increase of student fees, about the cuts of faculties, the gutting of programs, right? The austerity measures that they bring about. The sky is falling, and yet there's another set of books that they use to send to the creditors to show that they are in the best financial situation that they've ever been in, right? And you don't have to take my word for it. Right. This is why I did a documentary last year on the work or the life, really, of the experience of Colleen Bradley. Right. Colleen Bradley was the former director of, I think it was budget and financial planning at Westchester University. So she was an administrator, a high-up administrator who was fired from her job for blowing the whistle on the university and Poshy's fraudulent budgeting practices. Right, these are the same practices that I had been reporting on for years. And the reason why I know about Colleen Bradley's case, I had reported about it for Raging Chicken. And then one day, out of the blue, she calls me. Right, I'd never spoken to her before. And she calls me, leaves a message on my machine saying, hey, I don't know if you remember me. I hope you remember my name. But my story is I got fired, and we have a case that may be going to the Supreme Court. called me out of the blue because of the reporting we did here at Raging Chicken, and then I went and followed her, did a documentary report. You can go to our website, ragingchickenpress.org, click on the right-hand side, you'll see Colleen Bradley's story there. You see that documentary where she has all of the documents. She has the emails from PASHI officials, from university officials, and from other universities, administrators, and folks around the state, showing this was a standard practice that they were told to do, to hide the numbers. Right, and I have to say, my own union has been reluctant in actually bringing this stuff forward and kind of like actually supporting the Colleen Bradley's case, because they too are worried. Well, what's going to happen? It sounds like people are going to worry. They're going to hear that the university has fraud, and they're claiming that they have budget deficits when really they've got this money saved, and now the state's going to want to cut our budgets more because they're operating out of fear. They're afraid of those Republicans who want to cut higher education even more. They're afraid of what the public was going to say. But instead of being afraid of that, my argument has always been that we have to tell the different story, because the fact of the matter is it's not as if faculty and students are now flush with money and scholarships and support and benefits and course releases and research funds because the university is bringing that in. No. University administrators have been using that double set of books so that what they can do is they can use the money any way that they want. That's why we see these beautiful buildings getting built. That's why we see campus beautification projects happening, like massive tree plantings, all while they're telling us, we have no money, we have to cut more, we have to cut more. Kutztown University has just launched this huge project that they're so excited, a public-private partnership, that they're building a conference center. Hampton Inn, partnership, conference center, Kutztown University. Thanks, foundation, university funds getting all behind this. And yet, my building, Lytle Hall, which we reported on, DeFrancisco Hall on the university campus, Old Main Hall on university campus, flushed with mold. We can't get that fixed. Why? Budget. We have no money. We have no personnel. And so what the university is doing right now is, once again, they're crying the sky is falling. They're telling their shock doctrine story, which is what they're hoping is going to happen. They're going to cry crisis. Everyone's going to get afraid. And so everyone's just going to try to take care of their own and pull their belt a little bit tighter this time. Just pretty crazy. And this one feels especially spiteful, right? If you look at his, you can go to, again, ragingchickenpress.org. You look at my piece, which is called Get Ready. It's Crisis Time at Kutztown University again. And you can see Ken Hawkinson's full letter there. And the worst part about this is the people that are going to initially be hit the hardest are going to be the staff, right? Not the faculty, but the staff. So there's 4 things that they're doing as a quote-unquote precautionary action. Right, and that is they're going to have a hiring freeze, and there are 43 current non-faculty open positions on campus. That's your custodial staff, your secretarial staff, right? That is your support staff, all that stuff. Nearly all of them, according to what Hawkins said, nearly all of them will be frozen, and a vast majority will be, quote, eliminated from our base budget, gone forever. And I look at somebody like Judy Swank, right? Judy Swank, she's a Democrat. She's a representative, right, in Berks County, represents Kutztown University. And I want to look to Judy Swank and I would say, Judy, what's going to be what's the impact of having Kutztown University removing 43 jobs from the economy? 43 family-sustaining jobs from our economy based upon fraudulent figures and lies. What's that going to be? What do you got to say about that, Judy Swank? Right? I'm curious about that. The next thing they have in our thing, they said, we're going to continue to hire faculty to teach our classes, but all efforts must be made to ensure that all classes being taught are fully enrolled. See, now this is a big concern of theirs. It was interesting. Kutztown University was redoing their entire general education program. And people like me, I would go to all these meetings. Members of the union would go to those meetings. Amanda Morris, our former union president, would bring this up all the time. And would say, hey, you got this plan that you want to roll out. You're changing everything about general education. There's going to be impacts in terms of enrollment. There's going to be impacts in terms of which classes are going to be available for students. There's going to be impacts in terms of like which programs are going to lose students, right? And I remember asking our provost at the time, Ann Zayitz. I said, Ann, at a meeting, I said, hey, what has the university done to kind of like game this scenario out? You must have done some modeling to look at the potential impact. I mean, obviously, none of us can see the future in a perfect way, but we should be able to kind of model this out to understand how it's going to impact. And her response to me in a public forum was like, we're just going to have to see how this plays itself out. And so as a result, despite the fact of what we as faculty members in the union, basically what we had said, now you have a bunch of classes that are offered this semester because the university insisted upon it that have like 2, 5, 6 students in it, right? And other classes that students can't get into because there's not enough sections offered because they didn't do this work. But now suddenly, and I guarantee you, watch what's going to happen. They're going to pull these classes. They're going to pull the enrollment data from these particular classes that have low enrollment, and they're going to use that as evidence that this is why we need to cut all this. And they're going to tell faculty members it's going to be our job to go out there, right, and recruit those students, right? Go to the dorm rooms and knock on their doors if need be, right? They've already done this when we were talking about retention. Even after they cut all the retention programs. Now they tell faculty, it's up to you. If you could only keep 3 more students in your class, we'd be okay. And if you don't try hard to keep those students in that class by doing whatever you can, well, then it's your fault. That's the consequence, what they say. And in this letter, Kenneth Hawkinson basically says this, that it's one of the things, the only example he cites as one of the reasons why, despite all these cuts, despite all the increases in tuition and increase in funds from the state, the only example he gets as an example of the increasing cost are faculty salaries and benefits. That's it. That's it. We're the bad people, the greedy teachers. It's an old freaking story, Ken. It's an old, boring story. And this is how I actually close out my article on this one. I said, frankly, for all the talk of innovation and new ideas that gets batted around in public relations initiatives at KU and across PASHE, this is the most boring, predictable, unimaginative, and spiteful approach possible. Congratulations. Hawkinson is also calling in his letters, number 3, a 10% across-the-board cut at the university, implemented to all base operating budgets next year. There you go. Cut, gut, and punish. Remove the resources. And finally, and this is like the one where I feel is most spiteful, many physical plant projects will be canceled for the coming year. Note, this will not affect state or foundation-funded projects. Like, guess what? The new conference center. Right? Like the new conference center. But what about the buildings? What about the old buildings that have mold problems and continual problems? What about this? They dangle out to us as faculty members that we're going to have a new building so that we can finally get rid of this dangerous, sickness-producing building. What's going to happen? Well, you guys decided that you wanted to protect temporary faculty members. You guys decided that you needed to continue to have a living wage, right? And you needed to keep your benefits. So it's your own fault. Suck it up. You've got your health insurance. Breathe the mold. It's it is actually, if it wasn't so exhaustingly boring, right? It would be absolutely enraging. So I find myself in a weird place tonight. At this, on the one hand, being like, really, this is like this, but you know what? I think there's going to be people that are going to buy it. They're going to get there. They're going to try to rally around the president because really there is real budget stuff and all those words. And frankly, this is where, Sean, I have to say, I start getting frustrated because you've heard me say this 1,000 times. I see you just like now, like you sit there like, oh my God, just freaking, would you wrap this up already? Right? I've heard you say this 1,001 times and it's true.
Yeah. No, I was about to say, I think you have like another 5 minutes in you.
No.
If I don't say anything, you can keep on going.
No, you know what I'm saying though. You know what I'm saying, right? I mean, the same. It's like we make the arguments.
Every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I make the arguments, and still, right? I see that fear in faculty's eyes. I see that fear in staff eyes because they sit there and they buy into the language of the administration. They buy into the language that this is some sort of natural disaster that they are as much victims of as we are. And there's nothing that we can do. I start seeing faculty members making arguments for the administration about why you need to increase the tuition. This is not the majority of us, let me say. But I start hearing that, and you're like, are you freaking kidding me? Our students are strapped to the gills. Like, tuition used to be, right, 65% supported by state appropriations. Right? It used to be 65%. Now, 75% of tuition is the student's responsibility. Pennsylvania is the highest levels of student debt in the country.
It's the worst. It's clearly the worst.
It is. I mean, this is like objective data.
No, we are. It is. It's actual like data. We're like the worst, if not close to the worst.
Well, no, we're always competing for like, I don't know, Missouri or something like this for like, last
like
or second to
spots.
last.
Like,
no, exactly. And right now we're at the dead bottom. Right? So you're basically, what are you going to do? You want to increase tuition? You want to justify this? You want to be part and parcel? You want to conspire with? You want to be an enabler for an administration who's going to load the next generation with student debt and make arguments for the destruction of your discipline, all because people won't want to get off their asses, right, and mobilize politically to throw these bums out and to get the kind of education that we need, to get free college tuition, or for those people who say, well, nothing's ever free, tuition-free college. How's that, little freakers? Right? This is where I'm saying, Sean, we talked about.
It's always like, I mean, for the longest time, too, in the States, it's always been like the Democrats have just been, oh, well, we can't do anything.
It blows my mind. It blows my mind.
I mean, for the longest time, they couldn't, but like, I mean, because they didn't have the numbers for Republicans, but like, I mean, like, was flat funding the best they could have advocated for during that time?
No. Full funding is what you advocate for, you idiots. Right? I mean, this is seriously.
I mean, like, and also like these 3% cuts, like 3% increases in the funding we've gotten these past 5 budgets don't do anything. It brings us up to like $2,010. If we're not even there yet.
It's just crazy.
I mean, we're like, adjusted for inflation, we're 10 years behind. I mean, like,
absolutely.
I mean, it's I mean, like, we went like 3 or 4 years without getting with like cliff funding, and then it's like, oh well, like, great, like we've gotten 2% funding increases, 3% funding increases the past 5 years for PASHE, but it's like, it's not going to cut the like 20% funding that we're not even out of that hole yet. And it's 10 years later.
No, and well, look, I'll tell you this, though.
It's a decade. It's a full decade later. And we're still, like, in the hole that Corbett cut the system into.
But look, I knew we were in trouble, right? I knew we were in trouble when, look, remember Corbett? Corbett, like, he put forward a 50% cut. He wanted a 50% cut for Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education, right? And people mobilized, people fought back, and then, in the end...
The messaging was, we should be good if we don't get, like, we should be thankful if we get 20.
But that was the deal,
15.
Right? We end up with 20% cut, basically. We end up with basically a 20% cut, and people are celebrating. I'm like, holy Stockholm Syndrome, Batman.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this has not caused a celebration. And you had to see the Democrats, to see kind of even representatives of my union, to see people saying, we fought it back. I'm like, it's a 20% cut.
Yeah, how would you like to operate 20% off the top?
It was my, I tell you.
Just shave 20% off the top automatically.
It's the kind of thing that blows my mind.
Yeah.
And it makes me incredibly.
I'll give your competitors a 20% head start.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around to all you faculty members and saying, hey, we need to get more competitive because higher education is a really competitive thing. Blah, 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 blah.
How come you're not winning this 100-yard dash? He only got a 20% head start.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and look, and some people might think this is petty on my part. But the thing is that what blows my mind is every time we go through, we get these emails from our frickin' administrators, right? Whether it's at Kutztown University, at Millersville University, at East Stroudsburg, at, Edinburgh, at Clarion, wherever you are across the state system, you get these emails, right? And then people just seem like they just forgot history sometimes and feel nothing but here. But, I have to say, at the same time, this time around, it was really, really good to see a lot of faculty, at least at Kutztown University, who were pretty pissed off when they got this letter. And maybe the veneer is start to crack. Because, if we don't push this back, if we don't at the very start of this conversation reject what the administration is even saying, yeah, ha ha. If you want us to even come close to believing anything you have to say, we need to see all the numbers and all the books. You need to lay it out for everyone to see, and we need to get kind of like a specialist accountant in here. Right, a forensic accountant to come in and examine all your books, because we're not buying it. We are not buying it. We reject Stockholm Syndrome. We reject the idea that, the experts, the administrators know better than we do. Come on, people. And, this is where, I thank God for, people like the PA Student Power Network, right? Thanks to James Hersonsky and all the amazing organizers in the PA Student Power Network, who have been basically, frankly, have been taking up the work that faculty should have been doing for a long time, about defending and advocating and building a statewide movement that is about organizing, right? And frankly, I think that, hopefully ABSCUF, my union, just hired a couple more organizers, and I'm just hoping it's not too late before this all gets down. Because, right now, as I say in the article once again, it's like now we've got the new-ish chancellor, right, who's got all his Silicon Valley shiny credentials and really nice hair, and can woo people pretty good with that winning smile of his. All right, the guy's very competent. I'll give him this, right? He's not some of the jokesters we've had in there before. He's certainly not a Brogan, who was just like a freaking puppet, right? The puppet without the hand, who's like a talking sock, and kept on drooping over, that dude. But we got our work cut out for us, and ABSCUF has agreed. We're in the middle of contract negotiations, and we're starting them up. And ABSCUF has agreed to something that's called interest-based bargaining. And the idea is there, instead of starting with positions about what you want, you go and you identify interest, the things that you're interested in, that you have kind of collaborative interest in, that you're going to try to solve the problems. Sounds great on paper. But the studies show that while it does lead to better union management relations, meaning leaders of unions and leaders of management relations, it often leads to poor results when it comes to economics and benefits. So we shall see. And if interest-based bargaining looks anything like this email that Kenneth Hawkinson, the president of Kutztown University, has sent to faculty and staff, we need to wake up, everybody. We need to wake up. So, Sean, that's my diatribe for tonight. That's as short as I'm going to be able to make it.
I had to give you the hook. I was like, all right.
Yeah, I know. He did.
I gave you another 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. I could just, you know me when I get to this stuff. It just, it's infuriating. But, I have to say, Sean, this is also what happens when I get my sleep apnea taken care of. And I can actually think again. Then I start writing for the chicken once again, and now I get all worked up when we get back to the podcast. So look out, brother. Look out. Oh, man. So, what else you got going on for the weekend?
I am going to be coming home this weekend.
Nice.
My brother's having a housewarming party, so
yep.
I guess he's finally got everything in order, and I was only needed for one weekend helping out.
Very cool. Very cool. You're bringing him the Trumpy Bear? I mean,
I am not. I would not mind outing my brother as a closet Trump supporter in front of all his friends, but that would be like a really bad,
yeah. That'd be like, I'll see you in a few years, brother. Maybe we'll talk then. Yeah.
I mean, like, I kind of gave it to him a little bit when I was delivering the best man speech.
Uh-huh.
I tried to. I'm really good. I was good at embarrassing him. But like it was actually funny because I told you the story. The maid of honor, she is the sister of my sister-in-law, and she's my sister-in-law, I guess.
Yeah, let's make this as complicated as we can. Like it's like the sister. Right. Okay. So it's like, you see, there's these words that we use to describe this.
It's like Charlie, like the meme of Charlie, like with all like the yard going across the street.
Yeah.
So she came up to me like the week before couple days before the wedding. She's like, I was trying to write this speech for 3 months. And she's like, I don't know what to say. And I'm just like, I was like, I didn't even start thinking about this till like 2 days ago.
Basically wrote itself.
I know. I use it to like get some personal jabs in at my brother.
Yeah, that's what that's the best man speech is for.
Yeah, it is. Especially. And this is like, her speech is like, oh, I love my sister, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, just sitting there the whole time like, yep, that's not what this is going to be. This is going to be like an open mic night session. Yeah, but no, that the time and place would be Christmas, I think. It would be like a little subtle jab, not so like punch you in the face.
No, I think it's the kind of thing that you need to basically when you're over there for when you're over there for whatever reason, like over the holidays, something like that, to subtly kind of out of the way, like plant some like Trump figurine or something like that, or like put in like a mini "Make America Great Again" hat, like in a corner.
Like a mantle with the mantle.
yeah. This guy, something they might not recognize right away, So I think that'd be funny.
Yes.
Crazy. I was looking for something real quick. I was going to see if you had. Oh yeah, I want to plug something right here. So if you're looking for something to listen to over the weekend, about a couple weeks ago, Chris Hayes has got this podcast called "Why Is This Happening?" I've kind of talked about it a couple times before. There's an episode on there with this guy. His name is Dorian Warren, and it's called "Building a Progressive Majority with Dorian Warren." And Dorian Warren, he's an organizer. He cut his teeth in labor organizing. He's got just an amazing perspective, and I highly encourage people to take a look at it. So if you just go ahead and you look for "Why Is This Happening?" With Chris Hayes, and you search it looking for Dorian Warren, that is like something that I would like I said, is just I would strongly recommend. It's the kind of thing, especially we're gearing up for 2020, to check out. So let's see if I can give you this one other one to check out. It's not going to come up, but unfortunately, there was another one that was just absolutely amazing too that I listened to. Here you go, with Astra Taylor. Are we a democracy? Another excellent discussion with Astra Taylor on Why Is This Happening? So it's a couple plugs there. So check it out. So hey, anything else for the good of the order, man?
Nothing too much. I'm just trying to. There's nothing going on. Yeah, I'll just be coming in this weekend. Yeah, I know that I'm. I didn't even do my breakdown of new releases this weekend, but I know that I had my. I will be getting you some beer.
Yeah, definitely do so, man. And I will. I can load up on some Free Will for when you come in, and we can do a nice little.
What's that Free Will you're drinking there? The wheat.
This one is called Fresh King Cake. Right, Fresh King Cake. It's a white ale with pecans, orange, vanilla, and cinnamon. Right,
it's like milk based.
Yeah, and it's a really nice. What's that?
Yes, I had it. I had that the other night.
It's really good. I really like it.
Was not too much of a fan of it.
Really?
I had it on a whim. I was just like, I'll just try it.
I like it. It's not something that it's not where I would generally gravitate towards, but I think it was it was a little bit surprising. I was a little bit surprised by it, I should say. I got a couple other ones this week. I was spacing on them that I liked a little bit better, but I like this one. It was kind of nice, a little on the sweet side for there, but some of their sours are just like absolutely fantastic. So that's cool.
Yeah. So when I was getting my haircut earlier, I ran into Terry, the brewer from Pizza Boy.
Oh, how'd that go?
Oh, it went really well.
Oh, that's good.
So I walked in to get my haircut. I saw
and Sean, I should say, Sean did get all his hairs cut quite a bit. So if you know Sean, you might not recognize him initially. What's that?
I went for the buzz cut.
Yeah, he went for the buzz cut.
Since I've done this.
Instead of the hipster on the edge of alt-right cut that you get sometimes.
Yeah. It's been a while since I've went like this buzz cut. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
I was sitting down. I was like, you know what? Just fuck it. I don't feel like dealing with this. But so I ran into Terry. I walked in there and I almost felt like I heard him. And then I went to go sit down and looked over and I saw the hat, which is like the middle finger from Pizza Boy. Mm-hmm. And I went, Terry's here. And he said, "Yes, I am, Sean." Even though, like, we didn't see each other, and he's sitting on the other side, like, the thing, and just started, like, laughing. But there's also a sour I want to try there called Blunderbuss. Mm-hmm. And I think what it is, it's just, like, all of their leftover, like, sours from different barrels. Like, and they just decide, instead of, like, chucking it, the stuff, they just blended it all together.
Yeah.
And he blended a really good sour out of it. And I was like, "Terry, how's the Blunderbuss?" And he's like, "It's really good." So I might be going back up there this week for that.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice, man. That sounds good. I know I'm heading down to Philadelphia for a little Franklin Instituting tomorrow. I'm going to do a bunch of gardening this weekend. It's actually been quite good. So I'm very, very happy about that. And that's about it. I'm just going to hope the weather holds out a little bit so I could plant some plants.
It's been forever since I've been to the Franklin Institute.
Yeah, they have. Well, I'll tell you, on Saturday, I shall tell people this. On Saturday, the Franklin Institute, so we're going to, it won't be here. I think we're going to have to go back the following week or something. But on Saturday, the Franklin Institute has what's it called? I'm just spacing it. The Marvel, right? It's the Marvel exhibition. So it's going to actually look kind of the Marvel character, superheroes, and all that kind of stuff. That launches on Saturday. It's going to be there for like a month and a half or so, I think. So definitely check that out. And I do have an update. So Free Will is basically, they do have a release this Saturday, April 13th. It's called The Vulgar Display of Fruit. It is an imperial sour ale brewed with an obscene amount of apricot and blackcurrant purees and finished with a touch of vanilla. It's straight up fruit juice with just enough sweetness from the vanilla to balance it out. It comes at 8.0 ABV. Available on Saturday, both locations, in the big can. So that's cool. They have this actually, they showed a picture of this coming out when they were first pouring it out and they were teasing it. It is like a deep cranberry red. Right, it looks delicious, so I'm going to grab some of that too as well. So if you're swinging by, pick it up, man.
So one last thing I have.
You got it.
Do you know what next Friday is?
Next Friday, it's the day our Savior went to the cross, right, or something like this, right?
It's April 19th.
Very well played, sir. Very well played.
We got more important things to worry about.
Got April 19th. Very good. Very good. You're coming back home for Easter though too as well?
Yes, I will be. I'll be back home Easter weekend. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll have your beer for you that weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'll have a nice little package for you too as well. So.
Yeah, we get the beer train back. I am like over the awkwardness.
Yeah, there you go.
It's like they asked me. So when I went in today, they're like,
hop aboard.
So like they asked me like anything new going on. When I went in today, I was like, first thing it says like, yeah, I just bought a new camera lens. And they're like, my friend John's like, the one you've been talking about for a year now, or since you were working here, and I was like, yes,
yeah, that one. Yeah, that one.
Yes, I finally got that one.
Yeah.
The next one I'm looking at is like $1,600 brand new.
Always looking to the next one, Sean. Always the grass is always greener.
So my kit will be the 70-200, what I have now, and then a 35 millimeter 1.4 prime. Yeah, so
fantastic.
That's all I need.
Yeah, well, hey man, have an awesome weekend. Good safe travels home. Hope you have a good time with your family and all that kind of stuff. And here you go, man. Thanks for. I'm glad we were able to make this work out for this week because I remembered at the last minute that I had stuff going on, and so we were able to kind of pull this together to relatively last minute and have a fairly respectable conversation. So just want to remind everybody that what we need you for, right, is would be listeners to share our work. When we publish stuff on Raging Chicken Press, please share it out. When you're kind of listening to this podcast, share this with your friends, like it, leave us a comment, right? And most of all, best thing you can do is you can go to patreon.com/rcpress and you become a member of Raging Chicken for as little as $5 a month. That is how we keep the media and the movement and the media, folks. There is no substitute for listener-based, reader-based, progressive community-based, and supported media. There is no substitute. So with that, wish you all a wonderful weekend as we look forward to next week's long weekend. This is Raging Chicken, Kevin Mahoney. See ya!